Why is there a difference between ping localhost and ping local IP address? Using CMD and ping on Windows gave me the following results. Pinging localhost. Pinging 192.168.0.10, local IP address. Aren't both situations exactly the same? I mean, I'm pinging the same interface, the same machine and the same address. Why do I get such different results? Edit. Here is my ipconfig/all screen.
You are not pinging the same interface. Without any physical interfaces, you still have a local host. Your local host is used to refer to your computer from its internal IP, not from any external IPs of your computer. So, the ping packets don't pass through any physical network interface, only through a virtual loopback interface which directly sends the packets from port to port without any physical hops. You might still wonder why localhost is resolving to column 1, while traditionally we would expect it to resolve to the IP4 address, 127.0.0.1. Note that, .localhost, is traditionally at TLD, CRC 2606, which points back to the loopback IP address, for IP4, CRC 3330, especially 127.0.0.08. Looking up localhost using this lookup gives us lookup localhost. Thus Windows prefers to use the IP6 loopback IP address, column 1, CRC 2373, as it is listed first. Okay, so, where does it come from? Let's look at the host file. Type %vendor%/system32/drivers/etc/hosts. Home, we have to look at the DNS settings of Windows. This KB article tells us about a setting that affects what Windows prefers, emphasized in bold. In Registry Editor, locate and then click the following registry subkey. Double-click Disable Components to modify the Disable Components entry. Note, if the Disable Components entry is unavailable, you must create it. To do this, follow these steps. In the Edit menu, point to New, and then click Word, 32-bit, value. Type Disable Components, and then press Enter. Double-click Disable Components. Type any one of the following values in the Value Data field to configure the IP6 protocol to the desired state, and then click OK. Type 0 to enable all IP6 components. Windows default setting. Type 0xFFFFFFF to disable all IP6 components, except the IP6 loopback interface. This value also configures Windows to prefer using Internet Protocol version 4, IP4, over IP6 by modifying entries in the prefix policy table. For more information, see source and destination address selection. Type 0/20 to prefer IP4 over IP6 by modifying entries in the prefix policy table. Type 0/10 to disable IP6 on all non-tunnel interfaces, on both LAN and point-to-point protocol, PPP, interfaces. Type 0 by 01 to disable IP6 on all tunnel interfaces. These include Intrasite Automatic Tunnel Addressing Protocol, ISATAP, 6-4, and TerryDo. Type 0 by 11 to disable all IP6 interfaces except for the IP6 loopback interface. Restart the computer for the setting to take effect. What is this prefix policy table? Netch interface IP6 show prefix policies, or prefix policy on earlier versions. This table decides what prefixes get precedence over other prefixes during DNS resolves. So using that KB we could add entries here that denote that IP4 has higher precedence than IP6. Note, there is no reason to override this behavior, unless you are experiencing compatibility problems. Changing this setting on our Windows server broke our mail server, so it should be handled with care.
The loopback interface exists independently of your Ethernet interfaces. Even without the complication of IP6 you'd have two distinct addresses. Loopback IP4 address, 127.0.0.1. Your Ethernet interface's IP4 address, 192.168.0.10. The loopback interface might well be in a different software layer, more remote from real hardware. I doubt it depends in any way on your specific Ethernet interface driver, for example.
Localhost and your IP address are not the same thing. The localhost is a special software-only IP address that is linked to your system. Localhost, or 127.0.0.1, is a loopback address. It always points to your system, and is only accessible from your computer. This routing occurs at the OS level, and definitely never leaves the NIC. So there is no chance for it to hit the network. Pinging your own IP address is similar, but it potentially involves the entire networking stack, since it needs to detect that it is your IP address, and route it correctly. The effect should be the same, but there can be differences. For example, unplug your network cable. Ping your static IP address. You may get no route to host, or other errors. Now ping localhost or 127.0.0.1, and it will work.
I realize from the screenshots this question isn't about Linux, but it perhaps makes a useful case in point. On that OS, if you ping one of your local adapter addresses, it is translated to the loopback device, special case hat. This means that the packets actually go to the loopback device, which has all the implications you might think. For instance, from a firewalling point of view, those packets are coming in on the loopback interface and will match rules for that interface. The device to which the IP is assigned will never see the packets. This is good because it would not do the right thing with those packets. It would want to send the suckers out. However, if the interface which holds that IP should happen to go down, you've lost that connection. The mapping to loopback will stop working. So in other words, it is a workable design to regard those local addresses to be aliases for the loopback device. Code references. This URL. Take a look at function IP_root_output_slow. This calls fib_lookup, and if this function returns the code rtn_local, dev_out is rewritten to loopback. This URL.
이그 요한테 투사 호트 버튼을 플리즈 샤 스크린